So, my dear friends, today we will be talking about a very significant part of Islamic history, that is the tragedy of Karbala. Now, why this tragedy is so significant that it became a turning point, a milestone in the historic developments of histories throughout the world as well as specifically of Muslims. 61 Hijri calendar, 60 years after the Hijri calendar, we have this tragedy. Why it happened? Because Umayyad caliphs, they were more secular in their approach. They separated religion from politics because they had a huge area at their disposal with so many people. So their orientation and their strategy, what they chalked out, that was not exactly what was after the demise of the Holy Prophet. At that time, they were like more involved in religious purposes and piety, righteousness. When Umayyad caliphs they took power, so as I explained in my previous two talks, their approach was quite different. Amir Muawiyah, he announced his successor, and he ensured during his lifetime that Yazid first should be accepted by the people around him. So that was a new tradition because during his lifetime, his try to that other people must accept his selection, and this was conversion from the traditional path, and now this was monarchy, this was more like totalitarianism, this was more authoritarianism, but at the same time it was separation of religion from polity, because their priority, that was more their family and other aggrandizement of the empire, not to promote piety or righteousness or other values. So we have to keep in mind that this strategy, 61 years, it was just in the early stages of the development of Islam, and then the people at that time, you have at one side thousands and thousands of people, and at the other side you have few people, 71 or around 70 people. So you can see that when politics it becomes so strong, so majority of the people, they go on the side of the winners, and they don't go for the on the side of those people who may be on the right path. But politics is such a nefarious game in which the people see the strength, the power. So this whole episode that we see, that was power politics, and that's why morality, ethics, idealism, liberalism, religious values, spiritual values, those are not so important when we talk about economics or we talk about politics. The people prioritize, they see their priorities, which are totally different. Now, for example, if you go that who was right, who was wrong, and what was the correct way, so that kind of discussion in political science or international relations become irrelevant when you go for the notion of real politic. So this Karbala tragedy is a lesson for us that human being, that they go for power, and religion, that may be very important, but at such juncture that that is the grandson of the holy prophet, the person, the most important person in Islam, in religion, his grandson, a lot of traditions attached, a lot of love stories attached to that personality, and that was right from the household of the prophet. But that was not considered. What was considered, that was the real politics, that was the tradition. which was followed. And later on, we see that Umayyads, when they were succeeded by Abbasids, so the Abbasids would open the graves of Umayyads and they will bring their bones out and they will be burning their bones into ashes. And the same tradition continues. You see Aurangzeb Alamgir, such a pious person apparently, but he kills his brothers and he imprisons his father for the sake of power. So politics, realism, real politic, classical realism, that is one of the understanding that we can get after we analyze philosophically such tragedies, such events. That was eventful. And at that time, you can also understand that when the people they consider that they are on the right, so at that time, they forget about other considerations. Maybe some minority of people they go for right. So that is the self determination. When you think that I am right, then you are fully involved in a process. So that is your commitment, that is your involvement, full involvement, and then you don't see the consequences. You don't become so-called intelligent, so that you see that what will be the consequences, what will be the results, what will be the repercussions. So for all of us who are the students of history, and those people they want to become critical thinkers, so they try to understand such events with another perspective, so that we can learn a lot of lessons. What we should do on this day, we should try to become critical thinkers, creative minded people. That what happens, that the same Muslims that they were fighting for the cause of Islam, the same Muslims they are killing the grandson of the Prophet in such a brutal way, and then destroys the whole family, and then brings the head to the capital, and the people are looking at that. And then what happens to the women, what happens to the young children. So it is not an event that you can ignore it, that it was an isolated event, or this should be. When I remember, when I was child, we would commemorate this day, and we would do our tradition which is called Hut Kanai. So that Hut Kanai was a tradition, we would do it. Now the people consider that this is an event which should be commemorated by few people, by some a particular sect, and not by everybody. So those people who are following wisdom, and they follow knowledge, understanding, they are critical thinkers, they must understand this event. It should be a big source for them, for their enlightenment, for their knowledge oriented activities, so that they can analyze this whole event in a proper way. That is my message. We should not I don't know, technically or jurisprudentially, this self flagellations, or self immolation, or giving torture to your body uh, on few days, and then you forget this whole lesson, or you do some rituals. Also some rituals may be part of traditions and the people do it, but it should not be cause of problems and distress to other people. Because if there was a sacrifice, and there was a message of sacrifice, so that should be given like acceptance, not even tolerance. We tolerate things when we do not accept. So we should accept people, their orientation, their understanding, but it should not become trouble for other people. And this day should be a day of pondering over, to think over it, historic events, what happens, the strategies, what were chalked out, what way the battles were fought, what were the first measures, what were the second measures, how the steps were taken. So it should be studied intellectually, academically, philosophically, so that we can get lessons for life. I hope you people will share your experiences of this day. It should not be totally ignored, but at the same time, we should not try to make it trouble for other people. And we are closing our businesses, or we are closing our day to day routine activities, and it becomes a day of concern that what will happen. People may not kill each other. No, it is a spiritual day. We should try to focus, we should try to think over it, what happened, and what were the repercussions, what were the consequences, what were the causes, what were the effects. So this is a moment that we can think over it. This is my third, fourth lecture on this important event. I hope you would have followed my previous lectures on this issue. Thank you.